yes, we are expanding the family, but I have a belief that when you do things, you don't just go, you go big. So, two babies, people. Two babies are on the way. Those are ultrasounds, what you're seeing over there. Yeah. So, okay, this is going to be very confusing to people, and I understand this, right? Like, okay, wait a minute. You're both dudes. You're showing me two ultrasounds. They don't look exactly the same. What's going on there? Are they twins? Are they something else? Can we pull those images up again? One of them seems lighter than the other. Is there a coloration problem? What's going on here? Is this racial? I get it. There's a lot of questions related to all of this. So let me just back up a little bit and tell you about our sort of fertility journey. So when you have two men or two women, you're missing a piece, right? You got the sperm or you got the egg, but you don't have a sperm and an egg, right? You don't have a womb. You got to figure out some things here. And by the way, I know most of you guys that are watching this are now on the more conservative side of things. And I never see any real issue with conservatives anymore and gay people. And Trump was the first time president to run being, pro-gay marriage. And I think most people just kind of want to live and let live and all that. But I know this is like a little bit weird for some people to hear, right? I get it. And by the way, to me, at some level, this is a little bit weird. Like I've had to learn a lot of stuff and go to a lot of doctors, and it's cost a lot of money, and it's been a long sort of adventure. But basically what you're seeing there, one more time with those ultrasounds, would you? Those are two different wombs, and those are two different babies. And I now know an awful lot about birth, and I know an awful lot about zygotes, and I know an awful lot about wombs and days when things start happening and heartbeat appointments and all kinds of stuff. So basically what we are doing is we got one egg donor. So you got to think about this. If you need to stop right now and grab a Sharpie and make a chart, you could. So basically we've got plenty of sperm around here. That's one thing, right? So there's a lot. I'm just saying, there's a lot of sperm. We didn't have a shortage of sperm. So we've got sperm. So we had half the battle, right? We had half of what we needed, but we needed an egg. So there are egg donors that are out there. These are young women who are willing to donate their eggs. Women obviously make a lot of eggs. Some make a lot of eggs, some don't make eggs, but the donors usually are young and healthy. And if they want to help people that otherwise can't have children, they can donate their eggs. So you basically go on all of these websites. There are all these sites, and it's sort of like Tinder or whatever app you were dating on, where you're just kind of swiping through people and you say, oh, I like the way she looks, or I like this girl had a great education, or some combination thereof, or this one is actually geographically close. I like this person, but they're very far. And, there are different rates and all of these things. And our feeling was that we wanted one egg donor, meaning you get a whole bunch of eggs. Well, hopefully you get a whole bunch of eggs from the egg donor. And then we would take several, we'd split the eggs. So let's say you got, I think the first time around, we got like 18 eggs. And then you take the sperm, we would split them. So now there's like 9 and 9. I'm giving you the rough estimates here. And you would then inseminate them. And then you hopefully from that, some of it takes, some of it doesn't take. But then in essence, you have these embryos, and then you need surrogates. So the surrogate obviously is the woman who then carries the child. So basically what we've got cooking here is that we have one baby that is from my stuff and one baby that is from David's stuff, but they both will have the same biological mother, and we wanted them to have that sort of genetic connection. And right now there are two really fantastic women, and it's not an easy thing to be a surrogate. This is not something people really do for money. They do it for a higher purpose, for sure. And really two absolutely amazing women are carrying our babies right now. So we have two babies, again, one from each of us biologically, but they will be connected through the egg, the genetic material of the mother. One baby will be born in August, and one baby will be born in October. So they are not going to be twins in a technical sense, but they as a life going forward, I think they'll really be thought of as twins, because 2 months means nothing, and they'll be in the same grade and all of that stuff. And we started going through the process of how to do this, and I can assure you that it is not cheap. It is definitely easier if you got a man and a woman involved. I don't think we have to do sixth grade biology for you, but it's 100% easier if you can go that route. What was interesting also was that throughout the surrogacy process, it was during COVID. So the day we had to deposit the sperm, and you can all figure out what that is. You go to an office, very clinical office, and you go into a special room. They leave you in there for 10 minutes, you do your thing, and then they take that. Basically, they put it on ice, and then they figure out when they're gonna, connect it with the egg, so to speak. Anyway, it was a few days after they had announced like COVID was going crazy and they were gonna lock us down and everything else. And we lived in LA at the time, we lived in the Valley, and our fertility doctor was in Beverly Hills. So we had to go over the hill. And now you remember all that when lockdown was happening and like the roads were like oddly empty, but then suddenly really packed and everything just felt crazy and it was a really windy day. And basically the doctor was like, look, they're telling us we're going to close down. We don't know when we're going to open up. We don't know if we're going to have nurses here. We don't know. You better get us that sperm ASAP. And we got in the car. We drove as fast as we could over the hill to Beverly Hills to donate the sperm as we get out of the car. And I just thought this is like just such a moment I will always remember in my life. I write about this a little bit in Don't Burn This Country, actually. Like I will always remember this. Like as we're getting out of the car, lockdown, we think like World War III or World War Z is starting, like the zombie apocalypse is here. We've got to get the sperm to the doctor to save human society so people will procreate and we're going to be okay. We're getting out of the car and then my phone rings and it's Donald Trump Jr. And I'm like, man, the world's about to end. The president's son is calling me. And then I'm on the phone with Junior and he's just asking me like, what do I think about lockdowns or something like that. He was just checking in. I'm on the phone with Junior, walking in. It was very windy. There's no one on the streets. It's eerie. And then we get to the fertility clinic and standing outside the door of the fertility clinic is Dennis Rodman. Of all people, Dennis Rodman. Yeah, Dennis Rodman, former NBA player, crazy hair, Dennis Rodman, like cross-dressing Dennis Rodman, who I loved growing up. And he's just outside the sperm clinic. What Dennis Rodman was doing outside a sperm clinic, I don't know. He had a skateboard with him. Anyway, we go up there, deposit the sperm, and then, then because of COVID and lockdowns and everything else, the process of surrogacy became very slow. One thing that you'll probably find very interesting, actually, is that the pool of surrogates. So there's not like zillions and zillions of surrogates out there, right? Because you really do, and I genuinely mean this. You have to be a very special person to want to carry someone else's child, right? Like you are the vessel to help create life, but at the end of the day, it's someone else's child. So there's not a ton of surrogates. And over the course of months where we were going through COVID and lockdowns and everything else, it turned out that a lot of surrogates, I was told 80% of surrogates in the market did not want to get vaccinated for whatever reason that is, whatever personal reason they had. So then there was a very, very small pool of surrogates. Obviously, we did not want to force, I certainly was not going to do that, force anyone to get vaccinated or anything like that. I don't want to get too into the weeds on the science and what we ended up doing and all that kind of stuff. But it just really made things very complex. As you may remember, there were a couple miscarriages along the way, which, apparently, and I'm sure many of you have heard some version of this in your own private life, there's been an awful lot of miscarriages in the last 2 years. Doctors don't know exactly what to chalk that up to. Is it somehow COVID related? Is it somehow vaccine related? Is it somehow stress related of the world feeling so out of control? Who knows? But long story short, finally, a couple months back, we heard that our first surrogate was pregnant and a seriously strong baby. Like they're really impressed with this kid. The numbers are off the charts. And then we were like, we just got to keep moving. We got to keep moving. I'm 45 years old. I'm not getting any younger. I want to be able to play catch and shoot hoops with this kid. I hurt my hip this last night. I don't know what's going on. I was like limping around this morning, like the clock is ticking. I'm not like Marissa Tomei in what was that movie? My Cousin Vinny. Like her biological clock is ticking. Not quite like that, but like we had to move. So once we knew that the first surrogate was pregnant, we were just like, let's just keep going because who knows? There could be other miscarriages. There could, just delays, like COVID could come back. The doctors may not want it. Like there's so many things. And then we tried again and it worked. So we've got these two babies on the way and, People keep telling me I'm going to make a great dad. We shall see. You know, I've got a few more months of freedom, so we're going to try to enjoy it as much as possible. But I'm looking forward to the next chapter. But it is kind of funny the way people respond when you tell them, because like we're telling people and everyone's like, oh my God, you know, you're going to make a great dad. And then it's also like, you better have fun now. This is it for you. You had a hell of a run, 45 years. You did it. You did whatever you wanted. You were having fun all day. Oh yeah, drinking your tequila, making your steaks. You think you can do whatever you want, you know? All right, this is part of life. It's part of life. And obviously there's a whole bunch of goodness and stuff on the other side.